The hospital corridor stretches endlessly before Noah Whitley as he runs, his expensive leather shoes slipping on the polished floor. His phone is still clutched in his hand, the doctor's words echoing in his head. 20 minutes ago, he'd been lying on a beach in Cabo, Elena's perfume mingling with the salt air as she pressed against him. Now, the antiseptic smell of the hospital burns his nostrils as he skids to a stop at the nurse's station. Vivian Whitley, he gasps, his tailored suit rumpled from the flight he barely made. My wife, she's in labor. They called me. Dr. Reynolds said there were complications. The nurse's face shifts subtly, and Noah feels the ground beneath him begin to crumble. Mr. Whitley, she says softly. Dr. Reynolds is waiting for you in the family room. Noah knows that tone. It's the same one he used when he told his college girlfriend he'd met someone else. It's the voice of devastating news delivered with professional distance. As he follows the nurse, his phone buzzes with a text from Elena. Did you land safely? Missing you already. Noah silences the phone without responding. The weight of his choices settles on his shoulders like a physical burden as he steps into the room where Dr. Reynolds waits with eyes that have seen too much tragedy. Mr. Whitley, Dr. Reynolds begins, and Noah already knows that nothing in his life will ever be the same again. 3 months earlier. Noah adjusted his tie in the mirror of their master bathroom, watching Vivian in the reflection as she struggled to zip up her dress over her 7-month pregnant belly. Let me help you with that, he said, moving behind her. His fingers brushed against her skin as he pulled the zipper up. Thanks, she said, meeting his eyes in the mirror. I probably shouldn't even be going to this gala. I look like I swallowed a beach ball. Noah kissed her shoulder. You look beautiful. Besides, the Children's Hospital Gala is your baby. Figuratively speaking, Vivian laughed, her hand instinctively cradling her stomach. This one is definitely your baby. Has your nose? Poor kid, Noah joked. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. At 38, Noah Whitley had everything he'd worked for: partnership at Black Ridge Capital, a restored Victorian in Pacific Heights, and a wife who is both brilliant and beautiful. Vivian had given up her position as development director at the Children's Hospital when the pregnancy became high risk, but she still volunteered on the gala committee. She was the kind of woman people admired, with her quick mind and genuine warmth. And yet, for the past 6 months, Noah had been having an affair with Elena Reyes, a 29-year-old associate at his firm. Earth to Noah, Vivian said, waving her hand in front of his face. Where'd you go just now? Sorry, he said, squeezing her shoulders. Just thinking about the Anderson portfolio. Always working, she said, but her tone was affectionate. Tonight, try to focus on schmoozing donors instead of restructuring their assets, okay? Yes, ma'am, Noah replied, helping her with her necklace, the sapphire pendant he'd given her on their 5th anniversary. At the gala, Noah maintained his role as the supportive husband, fetching Vivian sparkling water and making sure she stayed off her feet. But his eyes kept finding Elena across the room, stunning in a red dress that hugged every curve. As an associate handling some of the firm's charity accounts, her presence wasn't unusual, but the knowing glances they exchanged were laden with secrets. Noah, Vivian's voice cut through his thoughts. Dr. Hamilton was just asking about our nursery theme. Oh, it's woodland creatures, Noah said smoothly, turning his attention back to his wife and the older doctor beside her. Vivian's created quite the enchanted forest. How wonderful, Dr. Hamilton said. And are you ready for the big day? It's coming soon. As ready as any first-time father can be, Noah replied with a practiced chuckle, terrified but excited. Later that night, as Vivian slept beside him, Noah texted Elena from the bathroom. Can you meet tomorrow? Lunch? The response came quickly. The usual place. 1 p.m. The usual place was a boutique hotel downtown where they maintained a standing reservation. Noah told himself it would end once the baby arrived. He just needed this escape, from the pressure of impending fatherhood, from the subtle expectations in Vivian's eyes, from the perfect life that sometimes felt like a beautifully decorated prison. The affair had begun innocently enough. Late nights at the office, shared frustrations over difficult clients, a touch that lingered too long. Elena was ambitious, unattached, and uncomplicated. She wanted what Noah could give her in the moment, not what he could promise for the future, or so he thought. "I've been offered a position in the London office," Elena told him over lunch the next day. Her dark eyes watching him carefully, Noah set down his fork. "London? That's... Congratulations." "I haven't accepted yet," she said, reaching for his hand across the table. "I wanted to talk to you first." "Elena," Noah began, then stopped, uncertain what to say. "Just think about it," she said. "A fresh start, away from all the complications." "My wife is 7 months pregnant," Noah said, the words hanging between them like a physical barrier. "And you've been unhappy for longer than she's been pregnant," Elena countered. "You've told me yourself. You rushed into marriage because it was expected. The baby was an accident." "A surprise," Noah corrected automatically. "Not an accident." Elena leaned back, studying him. "The London transfer is open for 2 weeks. They need my answer by then." She took a sip of her wine. "I'm going either way, Noah. The question is whether you're coming with me." Noah stared at her, feeling the walls of his carefully constructed life begin to close in. "I need time to think." 2 weeks, Elena repeated. "That's all the time either of us has." For the next 2 weeks, Noah moved through his life like a man underwater. At home, he helped assemble the crib and listened to Vivian's plans for the delivery. At work, he caught Elena's eyes across conference rooms and imagined a different life, one with fewer responsibilities and more passion. The night before Elena's deadline, Noah lay awake beside his sleeping wife. Vivian's hand rested protectively over her belly, her wedding ring catching the moonlight streaming through the window. He thought about the life growing inside her, his child, his blood, his responsibility. In the morning, he called Elena. "I can't do it," he said simply. "I'm sorry." There was a long silence before she responded. "I understand." Her voice was calm, too calm. "I always knew this was how it would end." "Elena." "No, it's fine," she interrupted. "I've already accepted the London position. I leave next month." Relief and regret battled within him. "I think that's for the best." "Goodbye, Noah," she said, and hung up. Noah had made his choice. He recommitted himself to Vivian and their future family, bringing home flowers, attending every doctor's appointment, and finishing the nursery on weekends. If Vivian noticed the sudden increase in his attentiveness, she didn't question it. A week before Vivian's due date, Noah received a text from a number he didn't recognize. "I need to see you. Important. E." He deleted it without responding. 3 days later, another text. "This isn't about us anymore. Please. E." This time, curiosity got the better of him. He called the number. "What do you want, Elena?" he asked when she answered. "I'm not going to London," she said. "And we need to talk in person." "There's nothing to talk about. I'm pregnant, Noah." The world tilted beneath him. "That's not possible. We were careful." "Apparently not careful enough," Elena said. "I'm 6 weeks along." "Do the math." Noah did. The timing aligned with their last encounter, just before she'd told him about London. "I need time to process this," he said finally. "Take all the time you need," she replied. "But I'm keeping it." "And eventually, people will know." Noah hung up and sat in his office, staring at the framed photo on his desk. Him and Vivian on their honeymoon in Greece, both smiling broadly at the camera. He'd ruined everything. That night, Vivian noticed his distraction. "Are you feeling okay?" "You've barely touched your dinner." "Just work stress," he lied. "Big client meeting tomorrow." "You should take some time off after the baby comes," she suggested, rubbing her belly. "Dr. Reynolds says it could be any day now, even though my due date isn't for another week." Noah nodded, his mind elsewhere. "That sounds good." "Oh," Vivian exclaimed suddenly. "She's kicking like crazy. Feel this." She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. And Noah felt the strong, insistent movement of his daughter. In that moment, Looking at Vivian's radiant face and feeling his child's movements, Noah made a decision. He would tell Vivian everything after the baby was born. They would figure it out together. It would be messy and painful, but honest. The next morning, Elena called again. "I'm going to Cabo for a week," she said without preamble. "The resort on the bay, the one you mentioned wanting to visit someday. I'll be there tomorrow. This is your chance, Noah. To start over, to be honest with yourself about what you really want." "Elena, I can't just leave. Vivian is due any day." "I'm due in 7 months," she countered. "This is your child, too." The pressure was unbearable. Noah found himself agreeing to meet her, just to talk. One day in Cabo, to figure out how to handle this impossible situation. He told himself it wasn't really a choice. He needed to take responsibility, to work out a solution that would cause the least pain. He told Vivian he had an emergency client meeting in Los Angeles, that he'd be gone just overnight. "Promise you'll be back tomorrow?" Vivian asked, her hands on her enormous belly. "I don't want to do this without you." "I promise," Noah said, kissing her goodbye. "Nothing could keep me away." The sand is warm beneath Noah's feet as he walks along the beach with Elena. The resort is everything he imagined. Luxury bungalows nestled against the cliffs, crystal blue water stretching to the horizon. In another life, he might have brought Vivian here. "I've made a decision," Elena says, stopping to face him. She's wearing a flowing white dress that makes her look angelic against the turquoise backdrop of the bay. "I'm going to raise this baby on my own. No strings attached to you?" Noah stares at her in surprise. "What?" "I've accepted the London position after all," she continues. "My boss was understanding about the pregnancy. They have excellent maternal benefits. No one there needs to know about you." "That's generous of you," Noah says cautiously. "But it's my responsibility, too." Elena smiles sadly. "Is it? You already have a family, Noah. A wife who loves you, a baby on the way. Maybe this is the universe giving us both a clean break." Noah is stunned by her unexpected grace. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll be happy," Elena replies. "That's all I want for you now." They walk back to her bungalow in contemplative silence. Noah feels a weight lifting from his shoulders, even as a new guilt settles in its place. As they reach her door, Elena turns to him. "Stay for lunch," she says. "As friends. Then you can catch your flight home to your family." Noah checks his watch. His flight isn't until evening. "Okay," he agrees. Inside, Elena opens a bottle of wine, pouring a glass for him and water for herself. They talk about neutral topics: work, London, the view from her bungalow. For the first time in months, there's no tension between them, just the wistful acknowledgement of what might have been under different circumstances. Noah's phone rings as they're finishing lunch. It's an unknown number with his hometown area code. "Mr. Whitley?" an unfamiliar voice says when he answers. "This is Dr. Reynolds. Your wife has gone into labor. There are some complications. Her blood pressure is dangerously high and the baby is showing signs of distress. We're preparing for an emergency C-section." Noah's blood runs cold. I'm out of town. I'll get there as soon as I can. Please hurry," the doctor says, and the gravity in her voice sends ice through his veins. Noah hangs up and looks at Elena, panic rising in his throat. "Vivian's in labor. Something's wrong. I need to get to the airport." Elena's face pales. "Go," she says immediately. "I'll call for a car." What follows is a blur of activity, throwing his things into his bag. The resort concierge arranging for the fastest transportation to the airport. Elena's concerned face as she hugs him goodbye. "Call me when you know they're okay," she says, and Noah nods without thinking, already mentally calculating flight times, connections, how long it will take to get to Vivian's side. He barely makes it onto the last flight north, spending the entire journey in a state of silent terror, ignoring Elena's text asking if he made the flight. As the plane begins its descent, he turns his phone back on to find 3 missed calls from the hospital. When he finally arrives, rushing through the corridors to the maternity ward, Noah is frantic. The nurse's expression as she leads him to the family room tells him everything he needs to know before Dr. Reynolds even speaks. Mr. Whitley, Dr. Reynolds says, her face grave. I'm so sorry. Your wife suffered from eclampsia, a seizure caused by her high blood pressure. We performed an emergency C-section, but the strain on her system was too great. We did everything we could, but we couldn't save her. Noah sinks into the nearest chair, his world collapsing. The baby? He manages to ask. A flicker of something softer passes over the doctor's face. Your daughter survived. She's in the NICU. She's very small, but she's fighting. Noah buries his face in his hands, sobs racking his body. All he can think is that Vivian died alone, that he wasn't there when she needed him most, that he was with another woman while his wife was fighting for her life. When he can finally speak again, he asks, "Can I see them? My wife? My daughter?" Dr. Reynolds nods. Of course. Follow me. Vivian looks peaceful, as if she's sleeping. Noah kneels beside her still form, taking her hand in his. It's already growing cold. I'm so sorry, he whispers, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry, Viv. I should have been here. I should have been with you. Later, a nurse leads him to the NICU, where his daughter lies in an incubator, tiny and vulnerable, with tubes and wires connected to her miniature body. She's stable, the nurse tells him. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. She's got a fighter's spirit. Noah places his hand against the plastic, unable to touch his child. Does she have a name? The nurse asks gently. Noah realizes with a fresh wave of grief that he and Vivian had narrowed it down to 2 options, planning to decide when they saw her. Now that choice, like so many others, falls to him alone. Vivian, he says hoarsely. Her name is Vivian Grace. 3 days later, Noah sits in the NICU, watching little Vivian breathe. She's getting stronger each day, the doctors say. She might be able to go home in a couple of weeks. Home to what? Noah wonders. The nursery he and Vivian decorated together now seems like a monument to his betrayal. His phone buzzes with another text from Elena. She's been reaching out daily, asking about the baby, about him. He hasn't responded. Can't bring himself to engage with the woman he was with when his wife died. A nurse approaches, holding a small pink bundle. Would you like to hold her today, Mr. Whitley? She's stable enough for kangaroo care now. Noah nods, suddenly terrified. The nurse helps position the tiny infant against his chest, skin to skin, and covers them both with a blanket. Talk to her, the nurse encourages. She knows your voice. When they're alone, Noah looks down at his daughter's face. So like Vivian's, it makes his heart ache. I'm sorry, he whispers to the baby. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry your mother isn't here. His tears fall onto the blanket. I don't know how to do this without her. The baby makes a small noise, her tiny hand curling around his finger. That evening, as Noah is leaving the hospital, he sees Elena in the waiting room. She rises when she sees him, her face drawn with concern. Noah, she says. I've been so worried. You haven't answered my calls. He stares at her, feeling nothing but cold fury. What are you doing here? I came to support you, she says, reaching for his arm. I heard about Vivian. I'm so sorry. Noah steps back from her touch. You need to leave. Noah, please. Elena persists. I know you're hurting, but you don't have to go through this alone. My wife is dead, Noah says, his voice low and dangerous. She died alone because I was with you. My daughter will never know her mother because of the choices I made. Elena's eyes fill with tears. You can't blame yourself or me for what happened. It was a medical emergency. It would have happened whether you were in Cabo or sitting right beside her. But I wasn't beside her, was I? Noah's voice rises. I was with you, lying to her, betraying her while she was dying. Several people in the waiting room turned to look at them. Keep your voice down, Elena pleads. Why? Are you worried what people will think? That they'll know what we did? Noah laughs bitterly. I don't care anymore, Elena. I don't care about anything except the fact that my wife is gone and my daughter is fighting for her life. Noah, Elena says, her hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. What about our baby? The question hits him like a physical blow. In the chaos and grief of the past few days, he'd almost forgotten. I can't, he says finally. I can't think about that right now. You'll have to eventually, Elena says quietly. I'm not going anywhere. Noah looks at her, really looks at her, and sees a glimpse of the woman he thought he loved. But all he feels now is emptiness. I'll provide financial support, he says flatly. But that's all I can offer. I need to focus on my daughter. And us? Elena asks, her voice small. There is no us, Noah replies. There never should have been. He walks away, leaving her standing alone in the hospital waiting room. The next day, Noah receives a call from Vivian's mother, Margaret, who has been traveling in Europe and has just learned of her daughter's death. Her grief-stricken voice tears at what's left of Noah's heart. I'm coming home immediately, she says through sobs. How could this happen? She was so healthy. Noah can't bring himself to tell her the full truth. It was sudden, he says. The doctors did everything they could. And the baby? My granddaughter. She's getting stronger, Noah tells her. They think she'll be able to come home soon. Thank God for that small mercy, Margaret says. Noah, where were you when it happened? The hospital said they had trouble reaching you. The question he's been dreading. I was on a business trip, he says, the lie bitter on his tongue. I got there as soon as I could. There's a pause on the line. Vivian told me you promised you wouldn't travel so close to her due date. The accusation in her tone is subtle, but unmistakable. Noah closes his eyes. I know. I broke that promise. It's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. After hanging up, Noah sits in the empty nursery, surrounded by the stuffed animals and baby clothes Vivian had so lovingly arranged. A small framed photo sits on the changing table, Vivian at 7 months, radiant despite her discomfort, her hands cradling her belly. I don't know how to do this, he tells the photo. I don't know how to be a father without you being a mother. I don't know how to live with what I've done. The photo offers no answers, just Vivian's frozen smile, forever unaware of his betrayal. 2 weeks later, little Vivian is strong enough to come home. Margaret has moved into the guest room to help, her grief manifesting as a fierce dedication to her granddaughter. Noah is grateful for her presence, even as her resemblance to Vivian sometimes makes it hard to look at her. Elena continues to text and call. Noah ignores her until she sends a message that can't be ignored. I've scheduled my first prenatal appointment. I'm listing you as the father. The doctor will need your medical history. Noah arranges to meet her at a coffee shop far from his neighborhood. She's there when he arrives, sipping tea, looking more tired than he remembers. Thank you for coming, she says as he sits across from her. How's your daughter? Getting stronger, Noah replies stiffly. What do you need from me? Elena slides a folder across the table. Medical history forms. Family background. The doctor needs them. Noah takes the folder without opening it. I'll fill them out and mail them to you. That's it? Elena asks. That's all you have to say to me? Noah meets her eyes. What do you want me to say, Elena? That I forgive you? That I forgive myself? I can't. I didn't do anything wrong, Elena insists, her voice rising. We fell in love. It happens. What happened to Vivian was tragic, but it wasn't our fault. Noah laughs, a hollow sound. Love? Is that what you think we had? The words hit Elena like a slap. Don't rewrite history, Noah. You were unhappy long before you met me. You said so yourself. I was a fool, Noah says. I had everything. A wife who loved me, a beautiful home, a child on the way. And I risked it all for what? A few moments of escape? The thrill of something new? He shakes his head. That wasn't love, Elena. That was selfishness. Mine and yours. Elena's eyes fill with tears. So what now? You punish us both forever? What about our baby? I told you I'll provide support. I'll be as involved as I can, but don't expect more than that. And if I want more? Elena challenges. If I demand more? I could tell everyone, your in-laws, your colleagues, your friends. How do you think they'd look at you then? Noah feels a surge of anger, then a strange calm. Go ahead, he says. Tell them. Tell everyone. It can't possibly make me hate myself more than I already do. He stands to leave, then pauses. I'll send you the forms. And I'll set up a trust for the baby. But Elena, don't contact me again unless it's about the child. As he walks away, he hears Elena call after him. You can't run from this forever, Noah. Eventually, you'll have to face what we did and what we lost. Her words follow him home, where Margaret is rocking little Vivian to sleep, humming the same lullaby Vivian had practiced during her pregnancy. She has her mother's eyes, Margaret says as Noah enters the nursery. Every time I look at her, I see my daughter. Noah takes the baby from her arms, cradling her close. I see her too, he whispers. Margaret watches him with her daughter's eyes. Vivian told me, the night before she went into labor. Noah freezes. Told you what? About your affair, Margaret says simply. She found messages on your iPad. She was going to confront you when you returned from your business trip. The floor seems to drop out from under Noah. She knew? Margaret nods, her expression unreadable. She was heartbroken, but determined to fight for your marriage. For your family. She sighs heavily. She never got the chance. Why are you here then? Noah asks, his voice breaking. Why help me after what I did? Not for you, Margaret says firmly. For my granddaughter. And because it's what Vivian would have wanted, she loved you, despite everything. Noah sinks into the rocking chair, still holding his daughter. I don't deserve her forgiveness. Or yours. No, Margaret agrees. You don't. But this little girl deserves a father who is present, who puts her first, who learns from his mistakes. She moves toward the door. The question is whether you can be that man. 1 year later. Noah sits on a bench in Golden Gate Park, watching as Margaret helps little Vivian toddle across the grass. At 15 months, Vivian is thriving, a happy, curious child with her mother's laugh and dimples. His phone buzzes with a text from his assistant. Meeting with Blackridge Foundation set for 3 p.m. Confirm donation to Children's Hospital in Vivian's name. After returning from leave, Noah had shocked his partners by announcing his intention to step back from client work to establish a foundation in his late wife's honor. The Noah Whitley Foundation now funds research into maternal health, with a special focus on preeclampsia and eclampsia. He's just replying to the text when he notices a familiar figure approaching. Elena, pushing a stroller. Her son, Alexander, is 6 months old, with Noah's chin and eyes. Their meetings are carefully scheduled now, civil but distant. Noah sees Alexander twice a week, usually with the nanny Elena hired present. They've established a routine that works, even if it's far from ideal. Sorry we're late, Elena says, stopping the stroller near the bench. Someone didn't want to nap today. Noah peers into the stroller at his son, who gurgles happily at the sight of him. Hey, buddy, he says softly. Margaret notices Elena's arrival and brings Vivian back to the bench. The two women exchange polite nods. It's an uneasy truce. Margaret knows about Alexander, about Noah's arrangement with Elena. She doesn't approve, but she respects Noah's commitment to both his children. Look who's here. Vivian, Noah says, lifting his daughter. It's your brother. Vivian peers curiously at the baby in the stroller, then offers him her stuffed rabbit. Noah feels a familiar ache in his chest. These children should have known their mothers, should have grown up in whole, unbroken homes. I'll take her to see the ducks, Margaret says, taking Vivian from Noah's arms. Give you two a moment to talk. When they're alone, Elena sits beside Noah. The mediation agreement is ready, she says. My lawyer sent it over yesterday. I saw it, Noah replies. The terms are fair. After months of negotiation, they've finally reached an agreement about Alexander's future. Shared custody, financial arrangements, decision-making authority. It's a document that will guide their interaction for years to come. I never wanted it to be like this, Elena says quietly. All this formality, these legal documents. I know, Noah acknowledges. But it's better this way. Clear boundaries, clear expectations. Elena watches as Margaret points out a duck to Vivian, who claps her hands in delight. She's beautiful, Noah. She looks so much like her mother. Yes, Noah agrees. She does. They sit in silence for a moment. These two people whose lives are forever entangled by choices that can never be undone. Are you happy? Elena finally asks. With the foundation, with how things are working out? Noah considers the question. Happy isn't the right word. I'm at peace, maybe? I'm trying to build something meaningful from the wreckage. He looks at her. Are you happy? Elena smiles faintly. Getting there. London's been good for us. Alexander is thriving. Her quarterly visits to San Francisco are the only time Noah sees his son, though they video chat regularly. I'm glad, Noah says, and means it. Alexander begins to fuss in his stroller, and Elena lifts him out, cradling him against her shoulder. I think someone's hungry. Noah stands. I should get Vivian home for her nap anyway. Same time next Saturday? Elena nods, adjusting Alexander in her arms. We'll be here. She hesitates, then adds, Noah? I hope you know that I never meant for anyone to get hurt. I know, he says. Neither did I. But intentions don't change outcomes. As Noah walks toward Margaret and Vivian, he thinks about the paths that led him here. The choices, the mistakes, the irreversible consequences. He thinks about Vivian, who knew of his betrayal but was prepared to fight for their marriage anyway. He thinks about his daughter, who will know her mother only through photos and stories. And he thinks about his son, born of a relationship that destroyed one family while creating another. He reaches Margaret and Vivian, taking his daughter into his arms. She nestles against him, trusting and innocent, unaware of the complicated history that brought her to this moment. Dada, she says, patting his cheek. That's right. Sweetheart, he says, holding her close. Daddy's here, and I always will be. Over her head, he watches Elena walking away, pushing the stroller that carries his son. 2 children, 2 mothers, 1 father trying to atone for mistakes that can never be undone. As they leave the park, Noah realizes that this is his life now, not the one he planned, not the one he deserved, but the one he must live with integrity and purpose. He will raise his children to know honesty and commitment. He will honor Vivian's memory by being the man she believed he could be. And maybe someday he will find a way to forgive himself. For now, he holds his daughter's hand as she takes unsteady steps beside him, leading him forward into a future that, despite everything, still holds possibility.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.